When we had the first goal scored against us, because I think we had a clean sheet for a while, I think they kept the focus on what's the bigger picture, what's the North Star. The energy level was still there because I remember attending practice like that next day. I think what Jim has done, Jim Conlon, the head coach, has done is he's created a really contagious culture where you want to be a part of it.
Welcome back to Building a Champion, the podcast where we explore what it takes to build winning programs, lasting cultures, and champions on and off the field. Today, we are heading to St. Louis, Missouri, where the Washington University Bears just wrapped up one of the most remarkable years in the school's athletic history. Joining us to break down the incredible year is WashU's athletic director, Anthony Azama. Anthony, welcome to the show.
It's exciting to be here. I've followed this podcast for a while, so excited to have the opportunity.
We appreciate it. The women's soccer team went undefeated to claim its second NCAA national title. Then just a few months later, the women's tennis team captured its first ever national championship. Those two titles bring WashU athletics to 27 all-time national championships. Anthony, it's about as good as it gets. Perfect season in soccer, first-time champion in tennis. It feels like a year that's going to live forever in WashU athletics history.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. I mean, to see those young ladies meet the moment, that's what we kind of teach and preach. Our coaches do a really good job across the board. Our track and field team finished second, both indoor and outdoor. I mean, to see this many programs be competitive and for us not to have silos and really have this what they call competitive cooperation is what the firm told me that when I had an audit, we did an audit back in 2018. I was like, I don't know if I can market that, but I want to make sure we cultivate it into our culture, where our coaches are very competitive in their sport, but very cooperative in sharing secrets and how to recruit, best practices, etc. I think that makes us pretty unique, pretty special. And you know, the thing about culture, it's a great buzzword, but we really got to get and be ready to get messy in the practice and not just be pretty in print.
Makes sense. Let's start with the women's soccer team. 23-0-2, a national title and program records for wins and unbeaten streak. That 3-0 victory over William Smith in Las Vegas was dominant. What was it like for you to see that team finish the season on top and do it in such a commanding fashion?
To see the work that they put in, I've been to their 6 a.m. practices. I've been in the weight room to watch them make that commitment. I think the thing that's really special about them is the culture. They really care about each other. They really love each other. Our leading goal getter, who I think Olivia had like 22 or 23 goals, she never started a game and she never complained. It was just the role that was needed to help the team reach the highest heights. And when you got that shared commitment and everybody having joy in each other's success, you got a chance to have something special. And last year's team was a really special team, very extroverted team that really took people along on the journey with them. And I think they had a lot of joy in the journey. I think there's a lot to learn from that we were able to make sure we incorporate from an administrative standpoint.
Very good. So it's hard to say you had adversity during the year, given you had 0 losses, but you did have a couple of ties. So, but obviously bounced back from that. But what was, how did you feel the team responded? When they didn't get an outright win?
Yeah, I think, it's like when we had the first goal scored against us, because I think we had a clean sheet for a while. I think they kept the focus on what's the bigger picture, what's the North Star. The energy level was still there because I remember attending practice like that next day. I think what Jim has done, Jim Conlon, the head coach, has done is he's created a really contagious culture where you want to be a part of it. And even if you're not playing, you want to do your part because you know your opportunity is going to come. If it's not this year, it's next year. And then carrying over into this season, nobody's talking about last season. It's interesting how the energy, there's some similarities to last season, but they're taking it again one game at a time, one opportunity at a time. And when your number is called, don't let your teammates down. Be ready to go. I think it gets back to Paul, this whole shared sacrifice and really keeping the main thing, which I find to be very unique. And the beauty of where I sit is I get to see all 19 programs and I can steal pieces of their culture and figure out how do we create something that's on parallel tracks with the program with administration and support services. And so one of the biggest things that I saw when you say how do they respond to maybe not having the outcome that they wanted was really they have an amazing ability to keep the main thing, and they have so much joy in the journey. We were driving out to the game in Vegas for the against Smith College for the championship game. My wife was like, they are like the music's blasting, they're singing their songs, and it's like, wow, it's like, well, they're not going to change who they are for this game, right? This is a way for them to get the anxiety out and remember that this is another game, and this is the last dance for a lot of those seniors, right? And she was like, wow, this is different. And I was like, yeah, these young people are different and how they approach things is different, but they're ready to meet the moment, which was awesome to watch and see, because I think both games went in the Final Four went 3-0.
That penalty kick in that national championship was such a turning point. What was the energy like on the sideline in that moment?
Yeah, they got such strong leadership, and they're cheering the whole game and supporting each other the whole game. And they had a young lady, Sophie, that was had some illness, and it's amazing. Somebody sent a picture of her head on Jordan's body, like fight through it like Jordan, and it's like the support that they provide each other really created confidence going into that PK to where if that thing went in, now we're rolling. Now we can get to playing the way we play and not think about, they were in a championship game the year before that against Cal Lutheran, and we fell short. But this was about this moment, this opportunity, and all we needed to do is see the ball go to the back of the net. And okay, let's approach this like any other game. We just happen to be in Vegas.
Yeah. So very good. So you talk about culture, and obviously you're bringing in winners. WashU, pretty good, academic standards that the girls and all the athletes have to meet. How do you take a look at that to make sure that you have the athletes that can meet the academic challenges, have the culture that you want, and then also be successful out on the field? How do you kind of convey that through all the programs, and in particular in the soccer program?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the reality of it, the coaches do a really good job of recruiting and bringing student athletes on campus. I get a chance to meet with them. Our team within the Center of Excellence gets a chance to meet with them because we want them to know what they have a chance to be a part of. And I think really good institutions can meet young people wherever they're at, whether they're from Beverly Hills or South Side Chicago. And the goal is to get them to go beyond their aspirations, wherever they think they want to do after these 4 years. But how are we using these 4 years to prepare these young people for the next 40 years of success? And really, I think the main thing we want in a student athlete, not just compassion and joy and other success and being able to have empathy, but a competitive spirit. So whether you're in the classroom, or whether you're doing community engagement, or whether you're, going through this athletic curriculum, how are you showing up in that space? And are you really striving not to be perfect? We won't want to chase that because that causes its own set of issues. But how are you striving to be the best version of yourself? And I think our coaches do a really good job of teaching more than X's and O's, but helping them understand life. And then we have this what we call a center of excellence, where it's not just strength and conditioning, it's not just sports medicine, it's not just nutrition, but it's sports psychology. And then we got enrichment services that really kind of hit on some things. Last night I was at the leadership lab for student athletes who want to lead their team, so they can find out here's the reality of leadership. So you need to be prepared, not only for what it is, but here's how we're going to give you tools and leverage the pool when you're facing different situations, tough conversations, etc. But also we do things like how to market yourself as an athlete before we go into the career fair. So I think the holistic approach to development has really shown up well for us post pandemic, and building up that infrastructure, especially in a non D3 way, has really allowed us to take athletes that may not be tall enough for Division I, or may not be this or that for Division I, get here and just excel. We got a young man that's in Major League Baseball right now. I think his height is like 5'6". Caleb Durbin doing a great job with the Milwaukee Brewers. So I think there's some things we're doing right. Again, we're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to get young people to prepare for the moment and really be ready for postgraduate opportunities.
When the final whistle blew in that game and it was official, national champions, what was the first thing you remember feeling?
It was just a sigh of relief when you think about Jim and I's relationship and what we talk about. I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time around coaches and really talking about how to build this thing and how to build it the right way and how to build it in a way that we can be proud of. His team has one of the highest GPAs in the department. His GPA is higher than that of the student body. They get involved in community engagement. I don't use the word community service. We want to be engaged, and this is not the first time that we're interacting with this part of St. Louis. And then they just got a competitive spirit that is contagious. If you were with me at a game and we were standing on the sideline, we would probably have them run by as a group, giving each one of us a fist pump. Like, they see you, they value what you do, and that just makes for a better relationship. I've been in other athletic departments where, it's two ships in the night versus, we're on this journey together. And it's really exciting to be in a department where some of your best conversations with these young people happen in the hallway. So you don't just see a jersey number, a name and a face and a story, which is pretty cool that each one of those individuals, 27, 26 on the roster, this championship meant something different to them.
Yeah, you mentioned that GPA. One of the soccer players even won the Elite 90 award at the championship site for having the highest GPA out of all the players out there.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And Reagan does a really great job of leading by example. I would never want to be in a weight room with her. It's called level setting, right? Put me to shame. And I saw her a lot over the summer when she came back from study abroad, and she was out there for 6 a.m. workouts and sometimes out there by herself. And just the level of commitment that they have is just mind-boggling. And this is coming from a Vandy grad. I'm really encouraged, and just so you all know, like, I never talk to student athletes about them as an athlete. I really want to know them at their name and story, and try to figure out where I can assist, whether that's a recommendation letter, whether that's just some words of advice, life lessons, so to speak. But it's really encouraging when you're sitting there trying to figure out how you can lean into this young person, and they ask you, "Hey, how are you doing?" And they look you in the eye. It's not a walk by. "Hey, how you doing?" They look you in the eye and they say, "Is there anything I can do to help?" That just makes you feel like this is a unique place. And we've been pretty fortunate with the young people we get to work with. For some reason, ESPN will never talk about this side of the business.
Soccer wasn't the only ones making headlines. Just a few months later, WashU women's tennis makes history, winning 4-3 for the program's first national championship. This was a team that entered the postseason ranked 9th, but they caught fire when it mattered the most. How did they put together such a magical run?
Yeah, and they went into the tournament at 17th seed. And the biggest thing that was really exciting for me, and I want to provide perspective, so I'll make this short. So I fly out for the championship game. I got to fly from St. Louis to California, and then that same night, I got to fly from California to Ohio so I can support our men's and women's outdoor track and field team in the championship. And this thing started to run long. They brought that trophy out way too early. And I was like, get that thing out of here. That's going to be, that's bad mojo, so to speak. But it came down to our sixth singles player, Nina, who last year, she was our number one singles player. So she could have went in the tank. She could have, got mad at the coach, changed the way she showed up. But I don't think she would write the script any differently. That is coming down to her racket, her mental preparation for us to win it all. And we went through a gauntlet. We went through number one U Chicago. We went through, another top 5 program. And then we're playing in the backyard of Pomona. And I think, while all the odds seem like it should have been against us, Nina really stepped up and performed when her performance was needed the most. And that part is probably one of the most exciting things. Came down running to the court while I'm looking at my watch because I got to get to the airport. And I just hugged her. And I just wanted her to know that, you will be remembered for eternity. And not just for the day, but the mind shift that you had to make to say, I'm going to do whatever it takes to help this team maybe go past some people's expectations, so to speak. And we also had a number 4 singles player who was playing out of her mind as our first year. When you see your athletes do that, it's really exciting, and it's another opportunity for university leadership to see how the athletic curriculum coupled with the academic rigor can really prepare these kids in a way that maybe needs to be taken a second look at, as far as just these things that we're doing in these 4 years and what we're putting these kids up against as far as adversity and how they're preparing to meet that. And the scrutiny is a little bit different because now everybody has a comment on the screen. I think it says a lot, and I think HR managers realize that young people who are doing extracurricular activities are more valuable in the workplace, and we try to make sure our kids know how to articulate that when the opportunity for them to have that dream job or that dream internship presents itself.
Makes total sense. Describe that atmosphere on the court amongst those players when they realized that they had clinched that first ever national championship for your program.
Absolutely total mayhem. It made me want to sit back and say, this is their moment, right? But, as AD, you want to make sure you give eye contact and you give an embrace that they know that you are proud of them. And I would have been proud of them either way. They got a chance to get in the dance, be in the arena for that moment, and to swing their best shot. And I think it was really cool for them to see all the hard work pay off, because you all know sports. I mean, 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 2. Sometimes it equals 0, and sometimes it equals 11. But your effort and your energy of what you're putting towards it has to be bigger than you, and the commitment has to be bigger than you. And I think to see those young ladies when it started in Dwight Davis Tennis Center back in St. Louis with the chancellor, his wife, the vice chancellor of student affairs being there to support them right on the weekend of graduation weekend. And I'm amazed the university support that we get. And then to see it come to culmination and see these young ladies just lose the cool and be in the moment was really fascinating. Just wish you could ball that up and just show that for the other teams when the days get long. You got an exam right when you come out of the weight room to understand all this is leading towards something, whether it's during these 4 years or 5 years after you graduate and you're getting your first promotion. We want them to know that this is intentional and there's something beautiful that comes out on the other side of hard.
Yeah. Speaking of hard, like you said earlier about overcoming adversity, they obviously didn't come in as the number one seed into the tournament for nationals. But I thought it was kind of cool looking at the scores. They're able to avenge a couple of losses. I think during the year they may have had a couple of losses to University of Chicago. I think the first time against Johns Hopkins maybe didn't go their way, but when it came down to the nationals, when the spotlight was on, they were able to turn that around. What do you think attributed to that, and what was like kind of the mental makeup going into those? That it's hard to go into a match when you've lost previously. You got to really be mentally tough for that.
No doubt. And Paul, you bring up a really good point. I think Paige, our head coach, did a really good job. She coached this season while being pregnant. I thought she should have named the baby champ, but not my decision. But to your point, I think the real cool thing about it is I think after the trip to I think it was Atlanta, they played Emory. I think they came back with a different mindset of, hey, we need to take to this coaching, and we got enough if we get in to make a run. The beauty of playing in the UAA is you can't hide. I mean, there's some really good teams in this conference, and once we went to conference championships down in Orlando or Altamont Springs, I think they got a really good idea of what it's going to take, and I think a catalyst for that was our doubles teams really locking in and getting everybody else to lock in. I remember stopping by practice. The music was even different. It wasn't just the approach, but even down to what type of music they were listening to. And you just felt a different sense of urgency by this group. And let's be honest, I mean, none of them were seniors. And so they didn't know what they didn't know, but when they got close, they knew what they had to do. And I attribute that to Paige. And probably one of the catalysts was a number 4 singles player, Lynn, who was a first year. And I think her game really got on board with Paige's coaching, and she went on a tear. And I think after every set one, she pointed to her head like mental toughness. And I think that's something that they rallied around. Like, no matter what transpires, let's keep the main thing the main thing.
2 national championships in 1 year is historic, but WashU does have a tradition of sustained excellence with 27 national titles overall. What is the secret to that level of consistent success across so many different sports?
Well, you feel the presence in the building from what John Shell during his time of what he did over that period of time, and you walk in there knowing that there is a WashU way to this, and then what are you going to prioritize? And for me, it's really about prioritizing the work environment. Let's make sure that we want to create a culture that we all want to show up to. It's okay for you to run your race in your lane, but let's make sure we're available to each other. And we're an in-person, face-to-face sort of operation. We don't really like doing Zoom meetings and all that. And instead of swimming against that current, we made some decisions to say, let's just utilize who we are as momentum. So when we have department meetings, there's lunch provided, because I want people to break bread and share ideas and really get to know each other. And we can never get away from that, get to know each other by name and story. But Jordan, to really narrow in on your question, I think it comes down to alignment, assignment, execution. I think we got great alignment with university leadership. We understand what their goals are, not only from the university, but also from student affairs as far as those pillars. How do what we do feed into that? And can we do it well enough that we feel like we can hang our hat on it and say we're best in class as far as the development of young people and getting them prepared, right? Assignment, the alignment lets us know what our assignment is. Let's make sure we do what we need to do your job, right? And not get involved in things that, is not really our expertise. So we want to work with admissions. We want to work with, the bursar's office, and we want them to learn, educate before you advocate, learn what we're up against. If the landscape is changing, we want to keep those lines of communication open, because you can't develop relationships in an emergency. So the more we bring people along on this journey, in the long run, the better the relationships will be and the more alignment will be. And so now we got a high level of execution. So alignment, assignment, and execution is kind of how we're at our core of living our culture and holding each other accountable. But we definitely believe this university is about excellence, which is pretty cool to be a part of. I'm at an institution that's trying to find a cure for cancer. And so we're not trying to be anything other than what the resources that we have and the expectations the university has for us.
What has it been like to see the WashU community rally around these teams, the students, the alumni, the fans, all celebrating the championships?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, I'm on the St. Louis Sports Commission here, and I saw how the Stanley Cup got passed around when the Blues won the Stanley Cup. So now that's what we do with our championships. We want facilities on campus to feel a part of it. We take it to the chancellor's office so he can take a photo. We also give him a miniature version as well as a championship ring. But it's almost like we want to take everybody with us, because you all are just as much a part of this as the student athletes who are doing it. And we got an invite to be in front of the board of trustees and give the chair of the board of trustees a championship ring. And it was really cool to see one of our seniors at the podium talking to the board of trustees, and they're really thanking them for their support, and then providing a photo op for the board of trustee members as well as the chair to take the photo. It's really cool for me to see people's excitement in the success of our young people. And I think uh, to be able to share that with campus, while it's hard to coordinate, it's pretty cool when you kind of make it happen.
Looking ahead, how do you take this momentum and build on it? What's next for WashU athletics as you look to the future?
Jordan, that's a great question. And I think what I've been wrestling with over the summer is how you sustain excellence, and do it in a way that your teams, and when I say teams, I'm talking about the people, show up with the same energy and enthusiasm, and we're looking forward and not in the small rearview mirror. And really thinking about how do we use last year as momentum, but not think last year is going to create any success for this year. And the thing that I at our kickoff cookout, I talked to the student athletes about, as well as our coaches, was I want you to remember when you fell in love with sport. And simultaneously for our staff, why are you in higher athletics? Why are you at WashU? What still gets you excited, right? Let's go back to that place to help us, show up for the next opportunity and the next day. I try to stay away from that buzzword grind, and got to. We get to do this, and we get to play a really transformative role in this chapter of young people's lives, and I really want people to feel valued. So not only in speaking from a podium and all that, but meeting with each support unit, answering their questions, and then providing clarity and direction on where we want to go. And I care about you, and I want you to be a part of what we're doing. Yeah, I give out gear to get the elite backpack, because elite for us means excellence, leadership, integrity, toughness, and energy, right? And they get their Nike shoes, and everybody's excited and all that. I think that's cool, and it's an act of that I value you and you care. But I think presence matters most, And I think that collectively, we got to all be a part of this. Whether it's highs and lows, we have to be the ones in the building that's consistent in how we show up for these young people. And so I think for us, it's really about staying true to who we are. I think we got a room full of people that have high character, low ego, and high output. And so how do I keep that fresh, right? It's cool when you get shoes your first and second year, but by your fifth year, you're expecting it, right? Just human nature. But how do we continue to make sure we're driven, we're culture driven, we're purpose driven? It's about our values, our behavior, and then that's going to lead to really great performance. And I think being the tip of the spear, I've got to be the one that's showing people first, purpose second, details always, and making sure that I make time. I make time to kind of make people feel valued. The currency on our campus is relationships. And if that's the case, then us as leaders at WashU, we got to make sure we value that and we prioritize it. And so those conversations may be everything from what's going on at home to what recharges your battery to hey, I'm excited about this weekend, and I think these 2 first years are going to eventually make an impact. And that's what you want. You want coaches to feel energized, you want staff to feel motivated, and you want all of us to have the North Star be the same thing.
All right, Anthony. It's time for our favorite segment, Game Time Decisions. Ask quick questions and you give quick answers. You ready?
All right. All right.
What is one word that describes WashU student athletes?
Resilience.
What is the best moment from this championship year?
Raising the trophy.
Penalty kick goal or championship point in tennis doubles? What's more nerve-wracking?
Championship goal.
Favorite
Yeah.
St. Louis spot to celebrate a win?
Favorite St. Louis spot to celebrate a win? Wow, that's a great question. I know so many restaurant owners here. You put me on the spot. I would
You're
say
making
the
anyone mad.
hill. Anywhere in the hill, anywhere in the hill is great Italian restaurants, and I've never had a bad meal. Anywhere in the hill.
What is a leadership value that you try to model every day?
Integrity.
If WashU Athletics had a theme song, what would it be?
If the Bears had a theme song,
Mm-hmm.
is that what you said? If the
Yep.
Bears had a theme song, what would it be? I actually know how our student athletes would answer that, but I would answer it with ooh, that's a good question, and I got to give you a quick answer. Ooh, ooh. I'm gonna be safe because I don't know who's gonna listen to this. Thunderstruck.
There you go. If you could guarantee one more championship next year, which sport gets it?
All 19.
There you go.
Very
Great
with
answers,
that.
Anthony. You handled that hot seat like a champ. Well, this has been an incredible conversation. Congratulations again to you, your coaches, and your student athletes on one of the greatest years in WashU history.
Jordan Paul, I really appreciate what you all do in raising up, college athletics in a fashion that really is educational and inspiring. So I just want to say thank you to you for this opportunity and best of luck this season. And I'll be listening. And now you got the WashU family will be listening as well. So thank you again.
We
Yeah, thank
appreciate
you.
that. And that is going to wrap up this episode of Building a Champion. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow sports fan. Until next time, keep striving, keep growing, and keep building champions.